This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, here we go on VSiN PrimeTime. It's JVT, Matt Youmans, very excited for the next 4 hours. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get right into it. Adam Burke, managing editor here at VSiN.com, get us his thoughts on the Final Four. Hopefully, we can get a few more Auburn selections here. You know, I keep pouring through media, Matt, keep trying to find somebody who will give those lowly Tigers a chance. Nobody saw it coming. Number 1 overall seed. We'll talk to Adam Burke about that. Top of the next hour, Derek Stevens, of course. Owner will be with us to discuss what he's looking forward to this weekend, as well as Brian Edwards, professional handicapper, Chuck Esposito, and Ian Cameron. I'm here on Thursday. I usually never am, so very much looking forward to talking to all of our usuals.
Yeah, we had to shift the schedule a little bit so Tim Murray could go watch his son play, a Little League baseball game tonight?
Yes, something like that.
Did you hear that Tim's kid is using the torpedo bat?
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard it's actually a big topic of conversation in Little League circles around Las Vegas, and there's thoughts that it might get banned.
I bet the kid over 1.5 home runs tonight. What about you?
I got some inside info, and sounds like the kid's not focused on what's at hand. So we'll see what's going to happen later tonight. No, you can't talk about it. We're kidding. All right. So we have a lot going on here today. It's a short slate in terms of live events. I do want to hit on this really quickly as we are about to get started in the next couple of minutes. It has been an interesting series out in the Bronx for the New York Yankees that continues this evening with the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Yanks going at it. Merrill Kelly is going to get the start today for the D-backs. A very quiet day, not many games because it's, of course, we're moving around here around the country. Kelly, not great in his first start that we saw, at least with the underlying metrics. 1.69 ERA over 5 1/3, but walk rate was very high, had some issues with command, gave up some hard contact. Underlying numbers would tell you he pitched more to the level of a 470 fielding independent. So we'll see if that comes to fruition here against the Torpedo Bats and the Bronx Bombers, who brought this up to Tim yesterday. So there was a Yankees beat writer on Saturday that had tweeted out, "Why are we worried about this Yankees lineup?" And I wanted to be like, let's chill out about that, right?
Yeah,
let's maybe
a
not
bit early.
Yeah,
a bit early for that.
Let's not watch them abuse Nestor Cortez and say, "Hey, like everything's fixed. What's everybody's problem?" The strikeouts have been very high for the New York Yankees. They have been striking at a very high rate, and might continue here today. And you also get Carlos Carrasco on the hill for the Yankees, making his start for New York. Only 2 innings of work for the Yankees in an appearance, so not going to be a long stint. Bullpen day, Johnny Holstaff day for the Yankees.
That's right. You got to love it when Johnny Holstaff is in action. The Yankees, like you said, dropped 2 in a row and been held to 8 runs in those 2 games. So some of the, excitement and anger from others about the Torpedo Bats has subsided a little bit. It's crazy, JVT, when you have really good pitchers who make you swing and miss. The Torpedo Bats are not as important.
It's part of the equation, right?
It is part of the equation. Total 9.5. A couple nights ago, I did think that total was low at 8.5. That was that 7-5 game. Here, not exactly sure what to do with this one. You would think a lot of times you want to bet the Yankees, a team like the Yankees, when they're at home trying to avoid the sweep. And I think that's the angle a lot of people look for here, and I don't disagree with that.
Yep. Well, market is agreeing with you, too, because we saw this open at minus 110. Both sides, some spots were upwards of $1.40 at a few places, including DraftKings. So we've seen quite a bit of a move in favor of the New York Yankees. You look at $1.36 here at Circa. So very interested to watch what this is going to be. Obviously interested to watch Kelly and see what he has against the Yankees lineup that struck out 16 times yesterday.
And that's, don't forget, Giancarlo Stanton, not even in the lineup.
Correct. But everything's fixed. Everything's fine.
It's funny how so many people overreact to 2 or 3 games. It's a 162-game season. And, the Yankees beat up on the Brewers. They looked great. But that's why you bet on regression. I mean, that's the lesson, right? You're going to – when a team – your job as a sports bettor is to see through the hype to find value in numbers. And how hyped were the Yankees coming out of the weekend?
Oh, it's insane.
So you bet against them the last 2 games, or if you did, you're 2-0. So you just don't believe the hype. In most cases, I would say in almost all cases, don't believe the hype.
Except when it comes to the Angels, who are 4-2. You can believe that hype.
Well, I'm not believing that hype either.
Although they did give up 9 unanswered runs yesterday after Logan O'Hoppe hit a grand
I'm also
slam.
not going to believe the hype about the Dodgers. Bill Plaschke of the Los Angeles Times wrote a column, and they even mentioned stuff like this. It's just asinine. If I were the sports editor, I'd say, why don't you take a leave of absence? You're going to sit out for a while.
Okay.
Twice in his column, in the top 5 paragraphs, he mentioned Dodgers 162-0. Why not? Anything is possible. Shut up. Okay? That's just some of the dumbest stuff. That's a high school kid learning to write for his high school newspaper wouldn't write something like that.
What do you mean? Do you think it's a problem that the Dodgers have had to come back in a vast majority of their games and have trailed?
I think it's a problem. They've been behind in 6 of the 8 wins, and that they were behind 5-0 last night. Now, the Dodgers are a fantastic team, JBT, but for a professional columnist to mention something like this, I do think it's something that is worthy of a suspension. I was trying to – here it is. Okay, Bill Plaschke. 162-0? Why not? Shohei Ohtani, blah, 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 blah. Next graph.
Ohtani, blah, blah, blah. Is that what he wrote?
No. Next graph. 162-0? It can never happen. But after Wednesday night, are you willing to say it can't happen? Yes, I am. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Why would you even bring that up?
I don't know.
Huh? I mean, it's when the Bulls won, the year the Bulls won 72 games, not for a second did you ever think 82-0? Did you ever think the Warriors had a chance to go 82-0?
I did all the time.
Never.
Yeah.
So to even write something like that's asinine and worthy of a suspension. But I'd say it's realistic. Can the Dodgers go 15-0? You know, how hot can they get on this start? When is this winning streak going to stop? And by the way, the San Diego Padres, who are 7-0, are only 1 game back. Half game back. So,
well, we're talking about this. We'll get to our game of the night. It's not until a little bit later, but let's actually, since we're on this topic, let's hear from Dave Roberts, because yesterday, Shohei Ohtani, it was actually a magical moment. I tweeted this out. So yesterday,
that was pretty awesome.
It was great, but also Tim and I don't actually remember. I think it was our game of the night. But I think when you look at it from the perspective of what the moment was, we were sitting at the Mega Bar, and I had +1.5 on the run line with the Braves. We also had the team total over. So Ohtani walks up. And I'm like, just give me a solo shot, Ohtani. And sure enough, first pitch goes yard. He was great. The Dodgers, again, kind of come back. Here was Dave Roberts yesterday talking about how they continue to wear down their opponents.
I think the thing is that what it is, in my opinion, is we just continue to take good at-bats. I think that there was an at-bat, to start the inning, start one inning where Conforto walked, and he took some borderline pitches, led to Tommy's homer that got us back into the game. And just kind of being able to take walks, work counts, allows us to kind of get back into games without sometimes getting hits, and then we can kind of wait for that big hit, which we've gotten in this, first 8 games.
Dodgers have been great. They're a very good team. But to your point, overall, not infallible, as we saw yesterday.
Every baseball team's got some flaws. And by the way, Blake Snell, as I said going into the season, he's going to be a pitcher that you're going to be able to bet against.
Well, how about that yesterday?
At least early in the season.
He actually didn't get, because we watched the game very deeply. He did not get charged with any of the 5 runs. Yeah. But when you watched it, he was not pitching well. He couldn't find the strike zone. He was quipping at the ump the whole time. He ends up walking 4. He was Blake Snell yesterday. Now, he got lucky because there were 2 throwing errors and a bad play defensively in center field that allowed him to get away statistically with that performance yesterday. But either way, and by the way, we should note this, because as the Braves fall to 0-7, the Braves have nobody to blame but themselves in that game too. Multiple times you had instances, including you loaded the bases with nobody out, and you couldn't do any more damage. You scored these 5 runs early in the first 2 frames, and then you did nothing the rest of the way. This is a team that should be kicking itself very hard for, at the very least, not being 1-6 after last night. The Dodgers did everything possible to give you that game.
Yesterday I was looking at that. Our buddy Chris Massaro was really high on the Red Sox yesterday, and he came through with that play. I was thinking this might be the day to bet the Braves. Sounds like you did. And I was thinking, do you take the Braves on the fat plus price, or do you take the 1.5?
I took 1.5 plus 105, because you're talking about +1.5 plus 105, and then paired it with their team total over. Because the logic was, look, if this is going to happen, Snell kind of grinded through his first start, and you know how he is at the beginning of the year, probably going to grind through some of these as he usually does. and you should probably be able to get to them and get over it. So over 3.5 hit, the plus 1.5 hit, but that got sweaty. I mean, we were talking about it, and good for Tim. Tim actually had the foresight. He middled it. He had like plus 2.5 with the Dodgers on the run line, plus 1.5 the other way. Like, had a good night for him. But this Braves team, as we focus on them too, oh boy, 0-7 again, 162 games. I'll let you do the math on how many games are left.
155.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I wasn't about to try. I was going to say 152, but you have plenty of time to turn this thing around. Bad performance the last night for the Braves.
Could the Braves go 0-162?
It's possible.
Is it possible?
It's possible.
Are you willing to say it's not going to happen?
Possible. It's possible. Hey, folks, we have a summer special. I always love our changing graphics here. Look, it's a baseball guy now. Daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, expert analysis, the betting systems, everything we have. VSiN.com/subscribe. So you're thinking right now, like, oh, he's going to tell me $9.99. Now, how about this? $59. You're a VSiN Pro through August 1st. Takes you all the way through the summer. Summer special, folks. Check it out now. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and sign up. Less than $60 for all of our content all the way through August 1st. How about that? Very exciting. Baseball time. It's in the air, man. Today was good, too. We had some day games. We're just underway between Arizona and New York. Speaking of the Red Sox.
I think we need to update that graphic, though.
Why?
Why do we need the picture of the baseball player's butt?
I don't think this is butt. It's his crotch.
Either way. Let's get a new graphic.
What happened to the guy palming the basketball, huh? We liked it. I just wanted to note that the Red Sox, of course, got another win over the Orioles, and don't look now, but they've won 2 straight. Alex Bregman woke up, turning things around. We'll talk to Adam Burke coming up next, get his thoughts on the Final Four and some baseball. He tweeted out a great article about the wind for the Tampa Bay Rays. Yes, wind. It's baseball season, folks.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we have a lot left to get to. We're out of here in 3 hours and 45 minutes, so we have plenty of time.
We're going to keep Adam Burke for the whole 3 hours, 45 minutes?
I think he volunteered to do so. Adam Burke joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. And Adam, the floor is yours, so we're going to get out of here. I think you're hosting from home for the next 3 hours and 45 minutes. All right, let's start with some important stuff. Actually, you know what? We'll go to baseball first because that is timely. It's coming up in about 30 minutes. You do have a play here on the last game of the evening. First pitch set for 4:40 p.m. Pacific time, Cincinnati and Milwaukee. No play cider total, for those who are wondering. Brewers about $1.20 favorite. Total's at 8.5, shaded to the under, but you've got something player prop-wise here, correct?
Great card in Major League Baseball today. Only 5 games, couple of them early, so there wasn't a whole lot to choose from, but yeah, I thought Nick Lodolo was pretty interesting in his first start. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits, but he only had 1 strikeout. And his pitch usage was dramatically different in that first start against the Giants than I would have expected. Threw a lot of sinkers, specifically a lot of sinkers and fastballs to right-handed hitters, which, I mean, he's got better weapons than that. So maybe it was just a game plan thing tailored to facing San Francisco. But I took Lodolo over 4.5 hits allowed, minus 110. I just think that the Brewers, I mean, they strike out a lot, but if Lodolo is going to throw such a high percentage of hard stuff, 64% sinkers and fastballs in that first start, they're not going to swing and miss a whole lot against him. So, you know, maybe their right-handed hitters take advantage of their, you know, platoon advantage because he is a guy that struggles with righties. And I think this Brewers team is, you know, a lot better than what they've shown here early on. The lineup, at least. I mean, the pitching staff, they're missing like 8 of their top 15 guys. But the lineup is pretty good. And if Lodolo is going to throw all these sinkers and stuff, he's going to be more susceptible to giving up hits and pitching to contact. So we'll see if it was just a one-off. But I took Lodolo to allow, you know, 5 or more hits in this start tonight.
Adam, over your left shoulder, I see a bobblehead. Is that the Shohei Ohtani bobblehead from last night's game? Did you go to Dodger Stadium?
It is not. I didn't go to Dodger Stadium yesterday, but I did go to Petco Park yesterday. The Guardians were in San Diego. It was my wife's birthday yesterday, so took a quick 28-hour trip to San Diego, got to walk around Petco. Incredible park, lives up to the hype. Phenomenal beer selection with all the different breweries that are local to the San Diego area. Very, very cool experience, and I highly, highly recommend it. If you've never been to Petco, make sure you go. I mean, just a phenomenal ballpark.
At Youmans, you and I shared alcoholic beverages out there at the gas line.
Been there about 50 times. I can't believe Adam Burke has lived on the West Coast this long. You never got to Petco until yesterday. What have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, so last year we went to Oracle Park, so we've been to San Francisco. Obviously, we skipped Oakland because why would I want to go to the Coliseum?
No point.
And I've also been to Chase Field since I moved out here. So, and also Angel Stadium. So, I mean, I've hit all of them except for, it took us a little while to get to San Diego. I've been to Seattle, too, which is another fantastic ballpark.
You know what the best part about the Angels ballpark is?
The team. They win all the time.
No, not the team. Not the team. It's actually, this is going to sound very stupid, it's the way they get you out if you're parked. Like, they get you out very quickly. It's not a long wait. They don't have much, but they've got good logistics. All right?
So you can leave early.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about the traffic.
And there's helmet nachos as well.
Hey, the Yankees leadoff hitter torpedoed one to center for a double off Merrill Kelly. Yankees closed 135 favorites in this game.
Yep.
Adam, I'm curious, just your quick take on both these teams, because a lot of handicappers like the D-backs going into the season. They've won 2 in a row against the Yankees. And just your take on the Yankees in general, pitching, and what we've seen from the offense and what you expect to see from this offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the torpedo back going forward. Anthony Volpe's hit 4 home runs that would not have been home runs in any ballpark but Yankee Stadium. So, we'll see what happens with this team going forward. They're still carried by Aaron Judge on offense. Maybe they get a little bit of help from Bellinger. Goldschmidt's starting to look his age. The aging curve has kind of really hit him. And obviously, not having Garrett Cole doesn't help. Not having Clark Schmidt doesn't help. Luis Gil's out for a while, too. So they're just kind of trying to hang on right now. I mean, Carlos Carrasco's starting for them today. So they're really just trying to hang on there. But I do love this Diamondbacks team. I love this starting rotation. The lineup is very, very solid top to bottom. They have guys that hit for power. They have guys that walk. They have guys that are very contact oriented. They have some guys like Corbin Carroll who can do all of it. So I really, really like this Diamondbacks team. The only thing I don't like about them is their bullpen. But I mean, last year they led the league in runs scored. They were the best offense in baseball against left-handed pitching. So they're able to out-hit, some of their pitching mistakes, especially with that bullpen. So I think they're a very good team, and honestly, thoroughly impressed with the Padres so far. The Giants are off to a nice start. Obviously, the Dodgers haven't lost yet, neither of the Padres. That NL West division, I feel bad for the Rockies because they're just going to be a punching bag.
Merrill Kelly not off to the greatest start. Alec Thomas misplayed a ball in center, and then he walked the 2 hitters. So here we are, Aaron Judge up 2 on, no outs. Kelly trying to get out of a pickle here. All right.
The Padres 7-0. A lot of people predicting gloom and doom for the Padres this season, but that has not been the case. Aaron Judge with a 3-run shot. Is that one of those home runs would only have been a home run in Yankee Stadium?
I don't know. I blame the torpedo bat. Also, I don't know why I streamed Kelly in fantasy, but that's another thing. All right, let's move on. Basketball is coming up. Final 4. Let's start with the big one, Auburn and Florida. It's a big one for me. I can't find anybody to make the case for Auburn. Will you do it?
I mean, I don't know if I'd make a case for Auburn necessarily, but I mean, look, these two teams statistically are very, very equal. When you look at, everything side by side, when you consider the strength of schedules that they both played, I mean, Auburn, top 10 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. Florida, top 5 offense, top 15 defense. You look at 3-point percentage, they're almost equal. 3-point percentage defense, they are equal. I mean, these two teams are just carbon copies of each other, it feels like. Obviously I realize that Bruce Pearl has had some struggles in the tournament, especially as Auburn's gotten deeper. So, maybe that's a little bit of a concern. But, I mean, I don't see a strong case to make for Florida. I don't think that Florida is a lock by any means in this game. I think Auburn and Florida are very, very comparable. So, this maybe comes down to the last couple of possessions, something like that. I know Florida's look great, and Florida's been a metric darling all year long, but guess what? So is Auburn. So, I mean, if you were going to force me to take something in this game, and I don't like anything in this game, if you were going to force me to take something, I would take Auburn money line just because, I mean, look, they're either going to win this game or they're not. I don't think the spread's going to come into play.
JBT, are you going to force him to take something in the game?
Yes.
Okay.
As many would
so
say.
He is going to force you. So
Will Hill likes to do the gun to your head thing. So, yeah. I'll kill your whole family if you don't make a choice here, Eddie.
How about the Duke-Houston game? Dog, pass? What are you going to do here?
Yeah, I mean, this is one where I'd lay it with Duke, honestly. I mean, we're talking about playing in the Alamo Dome. I know it didn't necessarily impact Houston a ton in terms of, the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 having to play where they did. But, I mean, 9 of 23 from 3 against Purdue, 9 of 25 from 3 against Tennessee. They're probably going to have to do better than that, I think, to keep up with this Duke team. I realize Houston is a very solid defensive team, but teams that can shoot, like Gonzaga, like Purdue, they shot over them and had well over a point per possession. Tennessee is just not a good offensive team. Rick Barnes is not a creative offensive mind. I'm not surprised that they shut the Volunteers down. It's going to be much, much more difficult to do that with Duke. I would lay it with the Blue Devils here. And in fact, I already have. I took the -5 there with Duke.
All right, Adam, before we let you go here in the last couple of minutes, NIT final is tonight, correct? You have something here?
Yeah, I went ahead and took Chattanooga in this game. I mean, I think that something that's been really interesting here about the NIT is that for UC Irvine, I mean, this is their game last time out where they played against North Texas in a neutral setting there in Indianapolis. It was the first game they played outside the Pacific time zone since December 21st. So, I mean, I think they could have a little bit of difficulty here kind of reacting to the situation a little bit. But honestly, I just like this Chattanooga team. They take a bunch of smart shots. Third-year head coach Dan Earl is very, very good. And for UC Irvine, I mean, they're just kind of plodding, methodical, good defensive team at the rim. But North Texas was just 5 of 23 at the rim against them and only lost by 2. That's a game that North Texas probably should have won. And I think UC Irvine maybe has some defensive difficulties here with the Mocs. So I went ahead and took the +4 with Chattanooga, and we'll see what happens in this one. But I think they're very, very live, not only to cover the spread, but also cut down the nets here in the NIT.
I like your bet. It was 4.5 briefly at Circa today. I don't get it. I made the number Chattanooga -1. I might be off, obviously, but I have not been that impressed with UC Irvine this season. I have a lower rating than most on the Anteaters. That game tips off what time? 6 p.m. Pacific?
6 p.m.
From Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Adam, I really, really like this college basketball crown tournament in Vegas this week. Went out to it last night. I think it's great to have games Monday through Thursday night. Have you gotten involved with this much?
Yeah, I mean, I took Boise State before the tournament to win it. Yep. They were in the +475-ish range, so I took them. And I also took a piece of Villanova, who was around 750, 8-1, depending on where you got that number. So we'll see what Villanova does here tonight against USC. But, so far my 2 futures live in that one. And, I did have a bet in, Monday's games, but I haven't played anything individually since.
Adam Burke plays a large role in everything that goes up on the site. You can get access to it less than $60, everything through August 1st. Adam, good to talk to you, man. Thank you as always.
Absolutely, guys. By the way, Aaron Judge's home run would have been a home run in 14 of the 30 parks.
I think I blame the bat that he doesn't use. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. All right, we'll come back. Well, let's hear the latest on John A. Broome and take a look at the Final Four.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Couple of score updates here. I actually did not mention these because we did have some, on paper, less than entertaining contests in the association that started the day. We do actually still have to get to our game of the night as well, but that does not happen until a little bit later this evening. So 2 quick updates for you. Orlando on the road against Washington, second leg of a back-to-back for the Wizards. And we saw them yesterday against the Sacramento Kings pull off a very big win. On a day that was filled with double-digit underdogs, the dogs were actually barking yesterday. And a couple got outright wins, including Miami and Washington. Well, Wizards are trying to do it again here, up 25-23. 146 left to go in the first. They closed as 15.5-point underdogs tonight. So if you're like Tim Murray or myself, sweating out a win total on the Washington Wizards, you would not like consecutive wins as double-digit underdogs.
Well, I mean, the Wizards are getting hot at the right time when it doesn't count.
Right. Much like Paul George, they have decided to focus on the run to get themselves ready. Or as I put it yesterday, they can afford wins now because they are so deeply entrenched inside of the bottom 3. The other one worth mentioning, Milwaukee and Philadelphia. Bucks closed as 11.5-point favorites. They too trail, Matt, on the road, 35-22. Yeah, Philly's actually off to a very good start with 144 left to go in the first. So big dogs barking yet again.
That might be a time to bet against the Sixers live, right? Because
they want to lose it.
They're trying to lose, right?
So was that 2 weeks ago? I was texting with Chris Passero about this when they were playing the Rockets. Remember, with like less than 10 seconds left, the 76ers led by, I think, 5 and lost the game in overtime. They were up by 5 with the ball.
That's right.
And they lost in overtime.
I remember that game.
It was a wild contest. So, hey, they'll find ways to lose, and they will do it very well. So maybe that is an opportunity.
Quick question for you. We got more important things to talk about.
Okay.
Bigger fish to fry on this show. But Cooper Flagg, if he is the top pick by the Wizards,
yes.
How many other players do they have that are worth keeping?
I think they've got a couple. So obviously you have Alex Sarr, who actually has come along very strong over these last few games. Last night, I think I double-checked to see what he finished with. He had like 17 at one point. Oh, excuse me, 12. He finished with 15, 4 rebounds. He's really starting to get the efficiency down. He shot 6 of 9 from the floor. So you obviously have Alex Sarr. I think when you look at guys like Bub Carrington, who has been very solid, when you're talking about offensive upside, there are a couple of dudes that are on this roster that I think are very good pieces to kind of have your young core with, but none of them are, I think, the guy that Cooper Flagg can be. Jeremy Wu wrote a good piece today on ESPN. The comp that he used for Cooper Flagg. Who would you think? And I think he meant this more from an offensive standpoint, but maybe could be defensively as well.
I'm going to go with Luka Doncic.
Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
Some of the comps, Tatum, Pippen, and Kawhi are some of the comps that you've had for Cooper Flagg. And I could see it, at least from an offensive standpoint, especially the way that Kawhi plays. Very good from the mid-range, that tight little jumper that he's got.
Sure.
I like everything the way that he plays, can play at all 3 levels. And he is an effective defender. I don't think he's Kawhi level defensively when he was at his peak, but I think it's an interesting comp for him. But either way, Flagg would be the cherry on top of whatever core you have, whether you're Washington, Utah, or some of these other teams.
That's interesting. I wondered how quickly he could turn around a team like that because...
I mean, right now, to your point about what you brought up, in-game betting against Philly, Philly's got about a 10% chance to get that number 1 overall pick. Could you imagine a season like this, bombing out that way? We got the news today that Tyrese Maxey done for the rest of the year, and coming out with Cooper Flagg to play along with Joel Embiid?
I don't think Embiid's going to be playing much longer. His body's breaking down.
We'll see. The report the other day was that he got a scope on his knee. So the hope, of course.
I know it's not a serious knee injury, but the guy's body's just been breaking down.
Sure.
He can't stay on the floor. So
much like with the Clippers, I would understand anybody's trepidation to believe that Joel Embiid has a long-term career ahead of him. I tend to believe he does, but I don't blame anybody that thinks like that, given what we've seen from him.
Yeah, I think the Kawhi Leonard comp for Cooper Flagg's a pretty good one because obviously he's not Luka Doncic because he's not a point guard, doesn't run the offense, but Flagg can run the offense if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
He can pretty much play. If you watch Duke, he can play four spots on the floor.
Yep.
So whoever gets Cooper Flagg can turn things around really quickly, I think, next year in the NBA.
The Cooper Flagg obviously playing in the Final Four this weekend. The opponent, Houston. We'll get to that matchup a little bit later. We're going to hear from Cooper Flagg on the construction of this Duke team, but I wanted to go with Auburn today because the news surrounding Auburn, of course, focuses on their player and the guy that was competing with Cooper Flagg for the Wooden Award, which is John Broome. Is he going to play? Will he not? Here was John Broome earlier today at media availability talking about the injury.
No, I'm be 100% on Saturday for sure.
Are you going to practice today or tomorrow?
I practiced today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Full range, no limitations today, you said.
No limitations.
You also said earlier you kind of pushed the elbow a little bit to kind of make it angry, learn to test it. What kind of stuff were you doing?
I mean, just, hitting the wall. I was punching the wall, hitting the wall, elbowing the wall, falling on the ground on purpose, all type of stuff. I'm playing. Nah, I mean, I was doing stuff like just stretching it out, like extending my arm, bending it back and forth fast, just moving around. I would have like AD banging, just hit it, just to let him hit my arm, just to imitate the game-like thing, so.
All right, he's ready to go, 100%. He's going to be there.
I don't see any concerns. I didn't think there would be. I think when you handicapped this game all week, you had to assume that Broome was going to be pretty much full strength by Saturday, and sure sounds like that's going to be the case.
Yep. So I don't think any surprise there, like you mentioned. We got the indications. Earlier this week, we actually played a clip from Bruce Pearl talking about, hey, look, this is probably going to be the case. Tuesday, Wednesday, not going to play. He'll be back on Thursday. Sure enough, you heard the report. You heard it from his own mouth. Did practice today. Although, as you laughed at the reporter, you going to practice anytime? Yeah, practice today.
Already practiced.
Pay attention, buddy.
Glad the guy was on top of the news.
So shout out to Tim Murray. Not to make fun of Tim like I did the other day on the numbers game, but to point out, he had a great point about this. We have seen Auburn and Florida play. And that was a game in which Auburn closed as a double-digit favorite at home, ultimately lost that game. Let's hear from Bruce Pearl, because that was a contest that Florida came out really guns a-blazing, held them off. Even the 90-81 score, not really indicative of what happened. A little walk and talk with Bruce Pearl about what happened that first time around.
Boy, I mean, they bagged 90 points, they had 22 assists. You know, Clayton was incredible, but he's been incredible all the time. Their bigs made shots. I thought they guarded us, really, really well. They were the more physical team, and Florida outplayed us. And we're going to have to do some things defensively that we don't always do. Got to change some things up a little bit. But that's when I realized that. I thought at that point, and we talked about it, I thought they were the best team in the country.
Florida, the best team in the country. Thought it right there. He mentioned it, though. Some of the rebounding, the ball movement was great. I don't think a lot of it is replicable. I mean, Florida, if you look at the numbers, took over 50% of their shots from three, shot nearly 40% from three. Maybe, and you go back and look, a lot of them were open looks. But I think Auburn's got a better defensive performance. Of the 4 opponents they have played so far in this tournament, they have held 3 to under a point per possession.
Right.
So they've been very good defensively throughout this tournament, and I think they have a better effort in front of them here.
I do too. I'm actually leaning Auburn in this game. The total's come down a little bit because I wanted to play this under the total.
What's it at now?
Well, it was 161.5 here at Circuit, now down to 160. And it looks like you headed to
now.
What's that?
I'm going to get under 160 now because I like this game under 2. Not to steal your position here, but I would agree. I'm sorry, continue.
Also, it's in the Alamo Dome, which is not a great shooting background. So as previous times there have been basketball games played in the Alamo Dome, the shooting background's proved to be a problem. And I think that could be the case here too. But just also, Auburn's been pretty good defensively. And these are 2 opponents, conference opponents, that know each other inside and out. You're going to know exactly what the other guy's trying to do. And you're going to have that scouted, and that's why it's going to be more difficult for these teams to score. When your opponent knows exactly what you're trying to do on offense, that's going to make it more difficult for you. So I think the under's a way to play here, 160, even though it's come down a little bit. And I was waiting for 3. I think the win hit 3 today. Is it still 3? I don't have the win on my screen, but at +3, I do like Auburn. Probably still play a little bit of Auburn +2.5 and on the money line. I've got a Florida future at 10-1, so looking to hedge that a little bit. But even if I throw that out, I think Auburn is going to be the right side here.
I'm trying to see.
I watched the first matchup between the teams too. Florida brought its A game that day. It was up 20 on Auburn's home floor. And that was just one of those days where Florida brought it, had its best, and Auburn didn't. So I don't want to make too much of that game, even though I know that game is burned in the back of a lot of people's memories. And I also think that Auburn losing the previous matchup on its home floor is a bit of an advantage for the rematch. And don't forget, Auburn's the top overall seed in this tournament. Was a 10.5 point favorite against Florida the first time around.
You would think they weren't.
And is now a 2.5, 3-point underdog. So when the role reversal hits like that, I think you have to look at the underdog, and that's why I'm looking at Auburn now.
This is the other thing that I think is the big factor, and we'll get more into this a little bit later. Auburn is, as I mentioned, allowed less than a point per possession to 3 of the 4 opponents they've played. They've also shot 31% from 3 in 4 NCAA tournament games. They are a much better shooting team than that. So I'm very curious to see if at some point that starts to come back.
Well, hopefully that point would be Saturday if you're going to bet Auburn.
I pray. And I'm not used to.
And then one more thing to mention here: Bruce Pearl's got a rotation with an average age of 24 years, which is about the same as Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
This is an old veteran team.
Check it out now. The betting splits, they're awesome, and you can get access until August 1st for only $59. Check it out now at VSiN.com/subscribe.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
34-33, Orlando up on top of the Washington Wizards. 8:32 left to go in the second. I'm sweating out a win total here on the Wizards. Would very much like if they could lose this game, unlike yesterday. Come on now. Let's get this thing done. Now 36-33. But the interesting contest right now, I would say, is the Milwaukee Bucks, and good call by you, Matt Youmans. Don't look at the scoreboard yet, but we talked about this when they were down by about 11 or 12. Bucks went off as an 11.5 point favorite. Is a good opportunity to come in game on Milwaukee. Well, if you heeded Matt's warning or advice, you're feeling pretty good. 42-41. Milwaukee up on top. It was 35-22 when we checked in, so very good run. I believe a 20-5 run or thereabouts for the Milwaukee Bucks, and now up 44-41 with 7:39 left to go in the second. So dogs were barking, but right now the two favorites who have a lead not covering yet, and we are underway between Miami and Memphis. Remember, the Grizzlies on a very big ATS slide, just 3 covers over the last 24 games, so we're trying to see if they can snap that. And don't know if they will. All right, with that, NBA is our focus because we do have a massive contest later this evening. I think even you're excited for, so let's get to it.
The lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the primetime game of the night.
Here we go. Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors later this evening. Very excited. Seeding on the line. Lakers, a 1.5-point favorite. Total from 230 down to 229.5, but plenty of 230 still out there. Matchup that is going to carry a lot of weight for the final seeding when it comes to the association postseason. Injury report for both teams, relatively clean. LeBron James, probable. He'll be out there. For the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga still questionable. Gary Payton will not play. So a blow to the perimeter defense there for the most part, but still two teams that you expect to be full go tonight and very much looking forward to it. Matt, did you have a lean here? Did you have a side? Do you have a thought?
Nah, not as of right now, I don't. But obviously, I'm pulling for the Warriors to win because of my bet on the Warriors to make the playoffs. They're in the 5 spot right now, 44-31. And it's pretty tight between the 4th. Actually, the 4th and the 9 spots in the West, separated by, Nuggets are probably going to be the 4, right? Let's say the 5 through 8 spots separated by a half game in the standings, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right now, Warriors 5, T-Wolves 6, Clippers 7, Grizzlies 8. The Lakers are the 3 spot in the West. But I tell you what, the Warriors win tonight, gain a game, and they could end up passing the Lakers in the standings down the stretch. So I think this is an important game, obviously, for both teams. Warriors in pretty good form here, winning three in a row, 7 of the last 10. Like you said, Stephen Curry's back, fully healthy team, coming off the win in Memphis. Actually coming off really impressive back-to-back offensive games. Dropped 148 on the Spurs in San Antonio, and then went to Memphis and had a pretty convincing win and a performance where Stephen Curry put up 52 points. So I would lean Warriors a little bit, but not a bet I'm going to make as of right now. I might live bet the game tonight. We'll see how it goes. Like you said, in the NBA, let's say the Lakers get out that 10-point lead. That might be the time when I say, hey, I want to bet the Warriors live. But,
hey, we talk about this all the time. Yeah. It's a 1.5-point spread in a basketball game. There's no need, I think, to get involved from a pre-flop standpoint. I lean toward the Warriors, but Lakers come out, hit a couple of buckets, go up 8-4, 8-2 in an early going. I think you're going to have a pretty good opportunity to jump in on the Golden State Warriors at some point. So I would agree with you. Let's just sit back and watch this later this evening, see if we can get an opportunity to back Golden State.
Ideally, you would, if you like the Warriors, you're looking for a situation where the Lakers are up maybe 30-20.
Yeah.
All right? And you could say, what could you grab Golden State at that point? Would you be able to get 5, 5.5?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So the other part, we talked about this, was just looking at how they're going to play one another. There is a slight chance that this is a playoff matchup, potentially. Obviously, the Lakers in control of the 3 seed, Warriors on the other side of the 4 line. So if they fall 5 or 6, and Warriors-Lakers slip down to that 4 matchup. Either way, this is a potential first-round matchup. So it's going to be very exciting to see how they decide to play one another and if we can glean anything to how they will play one another should they match up in the Western Conference. You also alluded to the bloodbath that is the standings. Think about this for a second, folks. The Memphis Grizzlies, just the other day, were in control of the 4 seed.
Now they're 8.
They lost yesterday.
Yeah.
They are now all the way down to the 8th seed. That is their 4th straight loss. But this is how much things can move around. And all of these teams within a game of each other. Warriors, 44-31. Minnesota Timberwolves, Los Angeles Clippers, and Memphis Grizzlies, all identical, 44-32, with different tiebreakers against one another. So this is going to be great to watch down the stretch. So lean toward the Warriors, lean toward the under as well. I think the market's getting this right, but don't really have anything strong, and very excited to see your boys later this evening against the Lakers.
Well, you just look at the last 10 games, right? Warriors 7-3, T-Wolves 7-3, Clippers 8-2, Grizzlies 2-8.
Yeah. Yes. This Grizzlies team, a lot of issues going on, and we'll see if they can pull this out tonight again. Right now, currently down 16-11 on the road to the Miami Heat. Wanted to point this out. So this is outside of this game, But I'm very big on J.J. Redick, like as a basketball mind. He's been great as a Lakers head coach. I think he's done a tremendous job. A really smart guy that used to listen to his content all the time, watch his content all the time. So the other day, I think it was yesterday, they were at practice. Excused, as you know, as a former beat writer, my favorite is when you get the scrums during practice. Can you tell them to stop dribbling for 5 seconds? So excuse the dribbling in the background. You'll hear Redick here. But the topic of conversation was most improved player. Let's throw this up first. We can show our audience. So the odds for most improved. The Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels, is minus 240. Cade Cunningham has slipped to plus 150. He's been injured recently. Austin Reeves at 80-1, having a tremendous season. Then you get into the triple digits, Christian Brown. We've talked about him, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, and a smattering of other names. Here's J.J. Redick when he was asked about most improved and his thoughts on the award.
I hate that award because they failed to define it, and I think the spirit of it has been taken out of whack. I don't like that award. Just call it the high draft pick that is on a max contract and now is an all-star. Just call it that award. Who's that guy? Because that's what it's become.
If you were making the case for Austin,
am I wrong?
But he wouldn't be that guy. Don McClain won it. Bobby Simmons won it.
No, I'm saying that's what it's become.
What? But we could. You could
I'm
speak
just saying
to
now,
the voters right
more
now.
in the last 5 years. That's what it's become.
Right.
I don't think that's the spirit of the award.
That's right. He's absolutely right. It's not the spirit of the award. It's actually one of the awards that infuriates me. A lot of things infuriate me, as we know. No, don't need to throw up the John Von Trigger thing. But I will say that you go back a couple of years ago when Tyrese Maxey leapt up from a single-digit scorer to averaging 17 points per game and becoming a cornerstone of a franchise in his second year, but voters thumbing their nose at and going, second-year guys can't win this. It's a ridiculous award. We will see who ends up winning this thing. Still think Cade Cunningham's got a shot. I think there are many in the betting community who think, well, Dyson Daniels, he's going to lead the league in steals by a mile. Maybe he should just win most improved. So let's make him the massive favorite. I don't think the odds currently reflect what is reality. I think Cade Cunningham probably has a pretty good shot at winning this still. Regardless, though, I think J.J. Redick's absolutely right. The spirit of this award is absolutely gone, and it's not about improvement. It's about just, hey, this guy's becoming an all-star. Let's just give it to him.
Yeah, I was having a hard time sleeping last night thinking about this award.
Thanks for buying in for the content, Matt. All right, moving on.
How it should
4-1.
How it should be defined, who should win it.
Yeah, 4-1 bottom of the third inning.
I hate
here.
most of these awards, and this one is like J.J. Redick just said. It's so vague and undefined. It basically it should be a player who sucked last year and has turned into a pretty good player this year.
Or just actually improved, right?
But Austin Reeves has been a really good player for the last few years. Why is he even on this list?
Sure.
I think Christian Brown actually could be considered most improved player because he's getting more minutes. His production's up. That's the type of player who could be on this list. Why would Tyler Hero even be a candidate? He's been a good player the whole time, right?
Yeah. I don't understand the Hero thing, yeah.
This is one of the words I could, like J.J. Redick. I hear what he's saying there because I don't like this one either. It's not defined well.
No, it's one of the many things that's probably going to irritate me as we move along with these awards. Kendrick Perkins today, I think it was quoted as saying Draymond Green's going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, that's not a guy you listen to, right?
Well, he's a voter, I believe.
He's just one voter of many.
Yes, but I do believe that
Big Perk's got some wild opinions. I wouldn't not necessarily buy into what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you know smart guys in the NBA media. Those are the people you would listen to who you'd think have a better read on how these votes are going to go. You can find value in the betting market. I think if you listen to the right people in the NBA media on this stuff, right?
I think you're right that they're smarter people. I think there's also a lot of mouth breathers who don't do enough to work and will just go with the groupthink because they're afraid of people looking up their ballot on NBA.com and them being on the outside in terms of the norm. And I think that's a lot of what goes on with this, but we'll see. Firstbet.com, how about this? The Horses and Hoops Pick'em Challenge. Check it out now. Play for free. Pick the winners of this weekend's biggest races and games to win great prizes from First Bet. VSiN.com/hoops and horses to check out the details now. Again, partnering up with First Bet, our friends over there. VSiN.com, hoops and horses. Play for free and pick the winners of this weekend's biggest races and games to win great prizes. All right, 4-1, bottom of the third. Yankees up on top. Merrill Kelly and the D-backs trying to get back into this thing. And the favorites starting to pull away, and the big ones in the association. Orlando now up 14 in the second quarter. And the Bucks extending their lead over the Philadelphia 76ers. Second hour. And Derek Stevens in studio next.